what I should have really started off with saying is, what I wanted to do is organically grow shapes using reaction diffusion that I could use in 3D printed designs. So if we try here where we fill all of the circles, you'll start to see each of them have to interact with each other. It's so cool, isn't it? Like, now this is just going to do one circle that then reaction diffusion runs on. And you see it grows out like a brain. Basically, you just let these patterns grow, and god damn if it's not satisfying watching these things just do what they do. So I just want to jump on today because I've been messing around, and sometimes when I'm messing around with things, I get excited. And when I get excited about messing around with things, I want to share them with the world. And this is very experimental, very weird, but pretty cool. So I've been messing around with some generative design stuff, and hold on, don't get your pitchforks, don't run for the hills and start burning down Abstractia towers. When I say generative, I don't mean AI, I mean coding. Previously, I've designed a lot of clocks. And one of the clock faces I did was using a technique called reaction diffusion. And reaction diffusion is well above my pay grade. It's effectively mathematics. Everything is mathematics, obviously, but it's basically a way of simulating organic processes. Chemical reactions between two compounds, and you have different feed rates and different consumption rates between the two parts, the two chemicals that you're doing, and they can generate all these amazing patterns. So if we just have a little look, it might be easier if I just show you some reaction diffusion patterns. So yeah, these here, so stuff like this, and it's all over nature, like zebras and, well, as we can see there, like zebra stripes, cheetahs, patterns. These are all effectively a version of reaction diffusion, just not chemical in the same way. So all of these will just be essentially a program that has said, right, let's have chemical A, chemical B, and one consumes the other and reproduces, and we have a feed rate of chemical B into it, and then the patterns emerge. What you'll be grasping is, I really like reaction diffusion patterns, but essentially, as I said at the beginning, it's well above my pay grade, and although I understand the fundamentals, the actual, it's called the Gray-Scott algorithm that people tend to use when they do reaction diffusion. And it's simple on paper, and it is actually pretty simple, but it's also quite difficult to get things balanced to where exciting things happen, in my opinion anyway. And what I wanted to do is I've built a little tool, and that is this here, which, as you can see, is a perfect example of a reaction diffusion pattern that simply does not work. It's lots of different things, lots of different parameters. So we've got, you know what, I'll just show you, because without actually seeing it work. So this one here is just lines, I believe, which let's set to coral, and you'll see here that effectively what this has done is it's seeded these, set by this parameter, these 8 circles. And these 8 circles are very boring, and they are actually technically growing, and they are actually technically interacting with each other right now, but things are not exciting. So if we change some parameters, we've also got the wiggliness up, and now you can start to see things start to grow. Now let's actually get the growth speed up a little bit to see if that helps. I can't remember if I actually made this about 4 months ago. And so as you can see here, effectively, what you can't see is the two chemicals, because what I should have really started off with saying is, what I wanted to do is organically grow shapes using reaction diffusion that I could use in 3D printed designs. And that requires vectors, so you can pull them into your modeling software and then model on them. So what this tool is actually doing is it's running reaction diffusion algorithms based on various parameters, and it's actually producing vectorized points as SVGs. Now, you just have to mess around. Well, I just have to mess around because it's me doing it, not you. And get the balance between this, which is 60 pixels between each point, which resembles nothing like the pattern that grew, and this, which has got 2,822 points, which is a lot of points. So I tend to leave it at 20 and just hope for the best. Live my life full of hopes and dreams. Coral starts with a seed shape of circles. Now, there is also lines to bring the corridor spacing right down, and self-spacing down. Yeah. So now you'll instantly recognize these shapes as it's almost like bacterial growth, because that is how some chemical reactions in Petri dishes and things like this operate. So it stops after a period of time. So this one had 8 pockets. Bring this down to 1. I can actually place it. I'm just going to place it in the middle. Let's restart. Now this is just going to do one circle that then reaction diffusion runs on. And you see it grows out like a brain. It's just such a cool pattern. I absolutely love these patterns. Let's bring this down, just try another one. So bringing the self-spacing down tightens it up even more. So that's basically saying that it's the distance that the lines can be from itself. So this gets really tight when you go down. So if you pull that up, you see now it fails because it's basically saying I've got 100% spacing. Yeah, so we leave it there. That's when it starts to go a bit wobbly. Basically, you just let these patterns grow, and god damn if it's not satisfying watching these things just do what they do. I want to use these for is lampshades and lamps. I want to try and make something that can output SVGs that I can then use inside of Plasticity. So I thought, why don't we have a little bit of a play today? I'll try and generate some shapes and then we'll bring them into Plasticity and just see how viable they are. It might be a complete no-go. We might get this into Plasticity and be like, this don't work, this is not great. I thought, what better way to try it? So let's just, we know these settings do something. So let's name this preset and we'll just call this Coral 1. It's so satisfying when it starts, isn't it? Just, you can see that all I've done is change one little parameter and then it's like life occurs. But we do have something going with 90% self-space in there, so we are getting a little bit wider of a gap. Do you know the other thing it reminds me of? It reminds me a little bit of Keith Haring. Keith Haring drawings, the little doodles. Thanks for coming on this journey where I move sliders and click the mouse. So what's happening there when we brought the wiggliness down is the wiggliness. The wiggliness is obviously giving it a point where it can start to branch off. So because the wiggliness has been brought down to under 1 there, it's not really getting a chance. Like you see, it started wiggling out here. So if we try here where we fill all of the circles, you'll start to see each of them have to interact with each other. It's so cool, isn't it? Like, and that stopped quite quick because we were filling all the cells initially. Once it got to 100%, 98% fill, it stopped. But like these patterns, so like, you know, if you want to do something like coasters or, you know, even like textures on 3D prints, this can be exported in SVG and then you could deform it. You could wrap it around the print and then there's a pattern. I think so there was a while ago I was thinking you could even have something where this pattern was seeded by a date of birth. And then you could effectively have lampshades or vases or something like that where it was a product of the purchaser's date of birth if they wanted to give you that information, obviously, which I think would be really cool. But then that could just be me being a massive dork, which is also a check and balance I always have to put on myself. I may think this is cool, but it may be because I'm a massive dork. But then we also have reaction diffusion, because actually that's differential growth, not technically reaction diffusion, the lines, but kind of the same. Then the blobs are reaction diffusion. So this is actually more of a pure thing of what I was saying before, where we have chemical simulation effectively. And go and look up the Gray algorithm for reaction diffusion on Wikipedia and it'll do a much better job than me explaining it. So we have all these different, and these are initial shapes. So you can see here, that's very much like some of this stuff. But essentially what this then does is a path trace. So it looks at this black and yellow image and then just does a vector path trace over it. So we end up with this, which is very usable. Labyrinth. So that's actually blobbing circles in, but then they do, you can see now why I've thought a clock where that happens with this one, you could have it happening every couple of seconds. And then it fills the characters out, the numbers out. That's not what we're doing today. So coral. Now there's also, I had this mirror symmetry. So you can do this and then it mirrors it. And now that's like a slice of my tiny little brain. So because the cell resolution's been brought down there, these are like, whoa, we had a shape there. Don't know if you spied it. Now what I'm looking at these, I'm thinking what I might try and do today is a really simple vertical lampshade that'll sit on top of a mountain that I already have. I feel like Captain Scarlet when he looks at the Mysterions. That was a reference that dated me. So what if I bring wiggliness down? Oh, again, so I think they're just so cool. It's just like, it's so satisfying. It makes you realise how, I think this with AI as well, it makes you realise how much of what you think of as life and intelligence is just very rudimentary systems following very rudimentary rules that give emergence to incredibly complex behaviours. Actually, yeah, let's just do one dot in the middle and see how cool we can get that going. And that could actually be a perfect one for a lamp, because then it will be a continuous line. Do we turn the wiggliness up? Do we leave it? All right, let's have a look at this. What are the lines looking like? They look pretty clean. They are at 8 pixels though, so that is a lot. Let's just go with what we've got here, right? So let's have a little look at plasticity. So see, you get this lovely clean vector. Now, what you do from this point on is your own beautiful mind. My beautiful mind, anyway. Right, and I'm also just going to bring in a part that is a pre-designed part that I have. This just is a modelled bulb and mount that I use in my lamps. Just out of interest, if we just pull this straight up. Yeah, so it will let us extrude this, so that is cool. Sometimes when there's too many points, things go a bit kooky. But ideally what I want to be able to do is thicken this. So let's just see if we can thicken it to make it a solid rather than a surface. Oh, it has let us. Brilliant. Okay. So, see, like, even straight away there, that is a goddamn funky lampshade. That, especially if we turn these, we turn the edges off, just so it's a bit... That is a goddamn funky lampshade. If I don't say so myself, I'm going to find the centre, because that's important. And then I'm just going to cut away the inside. But where are we at with this light bulb, sorry. Should turn X-ray mode on. So we're about there, aren't we? These are the type of actions where Plasticity just goes, don't you dare. Don't you dare do this to me. Don't make me calculate all these lines. But you know what? It's done that flipping brilliantly. Not a problem. I'm not on the affiliate scheme, by the way, Plasticity. If you do want to give me an affiliate code, I'm more than happy to, because I know I've sold more than one copy of this goddamn software for it, but Plasticity's class. I would quite happily shield Plasticity. Not for free though, just so you're aware of that, right? Not for free. Basically made a really simple hole for where the bulb could sit and things like this, but then the bulb will be wrapped inside this absolute chaos. And you'd print this top, like this would be the print bed up here, and you print it upside down. Yeah, so then you've got that lip it would sit down on. I'll see what it feels like when it's in hand. It could be really wobbly and not very pleasant, but that's what test printing's for. And then let me just put a hole in for the wire. Bring it back onto there. Yeah, I think that's super cool. It could look crap once I print it out. I might not like it anymore, but I just think that's so quirky. It's quirky, it's fun, it's odd. Like, have that in your corner of your room. Somebody's going to say, somebody will comment on that lamp. Somebody will be like, what the hell is that? Rather than, wow, which incredible designer designed that? Fantastic. Is that differential growth, that lamp? That's not going to happen. So yeah, I'm going to test that today. I'm going to give that a go. I'm going to print that this afternoon, and you will see on my Instagrams whether it turned out all right, or my threads, or my TikToks, or my YouTubes, because they're all there, and you should follow all of them. But yeah, let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know what you think of this weird technique and this odd just way of doing things, which I think is pretty cool. What I'd really like is to be able to take this shape, say for example this line here, and something we can do. In fact, let's just do it now. Let's just do it now. We can do this, so I will do this now, just as a little experiment. So if we bring this down, and we bring it down to, say, yeah, just like where we were before. And then what we do is use the sweep tool rather than pulling it with the sweep tool. We just use sweep. We use that line. Now that's effectively done the same thing, but what sweep does is it gives you twist, so we can add some flair in it that way. God damn, that's good. And then you can also scale it so it goes like this, which flipping great ceiling pendant lampshade. Might actually save this just to, obviously I'll have to cut out that area, but these are the type of things that I'm thinking of. Let me see if this will let me thicken it still, because once you add a twist in, there's a chance you'll get intersections. Then what we move into is me having to manually thicken it, which I'll be quite frank, I'm not willing to do today. This face you're seeing here is me staring at this green spinning box down here, hoping for dear life that it doesn't pop up with a red box in a second saying it's failed. It hasn't failed. Great. So yeah, like that's just such a flipping fun shape. Right. So all right, we'll just give this one a go as well then. But are we? Oh no, we don't have any free floating bits because, again, because the initial design was that closed loop, essentially all of this is connected. So we don't have any concerns with parts that aren't part of the whole. So say for example, that loop there might not, with a different type of generation, it might not be connected to something else. So then you would have bits that when you actually took it off the build plate, they would just be loose, and then that's no good for anybody. I might as well give this one a test as well. So that'll just work the same. It'll just slide over the base. So I can use the same base for both of those, which is pretty cool. Well, if it works, if they look good, who knows? Right, yeah. So I'm going to give these a go. So that's me for today. I just want to jump on, show that stupid little tool I've designed, and then maybe see if I can make a stupid little lamp with it. And you know what? I showed you a stupid little tool and I made a stupid little lamp. I made two stupid little lamps actually, so you got two for the price of one. So wind your neck in if you're moaning. So yeah. So if you like the sort of stuff we do here, I do live streams every week. I've missed a couple of weeks because I'm a big lazy boy, but do live streams every week, showing this sort of stuff off, sometimes just generally modelling stuff. This was a little bit more experimental where I haven't got a clue what I'm doing and I'm just giving it a go. Have a look at me on MakeWorld. I'm under Abstracty Design. I have 700 and so many I've forgotten. I think it's 760, might even be more than that. Designs on there. Been doing a design a day for well over 18 months. If you like the designs, you can subscribe on Patreon and get commercial licenses, so you can sell prints, not the models, but the prints of the models. You can't sell my physical files because they're mine, not yours. Check out my stuff, and if you would like to leave a like or a comment, please do, because it helps the algorithm, and then the algorithm helps me. And I will leave it there for today.